Every day at the Australian War Memorial, we honour those who have served, those who are still serving, and the families that love and support them. Here in the Peacekeeping Galleries of the Australian War Memorial, we also acknowledge that every day for the past 75 years, young Australian men and women have served and protected the peace on United Nations and other peacekeeping and peace enforcement operations. Today we acknowledge that 30 years ago, we sent young men and young women into harm's way in Somalia. HMAS Tobruk, HMAS Jervis Bay, our Air Force movers, and ultimately a battalion task group led by a then Lieutenant Colonel Hurley, went to the farthest reaches of the globe to defend peace and to give the Somalis, a country racked by civil war, racked by famine, to give the people of Somalia a chance and to deliver to them that most precious of commodities, hope. It's now my great pleasure to introduce the Governor-General of Australia, General the Honourable David Hurley.
30 years ago today, on the 20th of October 1992, two Australian officers landed in Mogadishu, the capital of Somalia, a country racked by famine and civil war. The two were the vanguard of what became Australia's largest overseas deployment since Vietnam, and an example of our commitment to peacekeeping operations around the world. I've been reflecting on peacekeeping quite a bit this year, both because it is the 75th anniversary of Australia's involvement with peacekeeping operations, and because it is almost 30 years since my own experience with peacekeeping. In 1993, as Commanding Officer 1 RER, I had the honour of serving in the Australian Defence Force's contribution to the United Nations United Task Force on Operation Solace. Our mission was to secure the Baidar humanitarian relief sector to ensure food and other humanitarian assistance could be delivered safely to the community. The operation was challenging and the mission difficult. Australian troops were recognised for their firm, fair and friendly approach to security that won the respect of the United Nations, Allied forces and non-government organisations working in the region. In addition to an infantry battalion, Australia also deployed a squadron of armoured personnel carriers, headquarters staff, engineers, communications and electronic warfare detachments, administrative elements, and HMAS Tobruk and HMAS Jervis Bay. The RAAF was employed to move the Australian forces to and from the area of operations from Australia and conducted regular resupply missions. Many more back home were also involved. I'm extremely proud of our efforts in Somalia. We helped create significant improvement in the security situation, which allowed Somalis to begin rebuilding a functioning community. We were successful in the scope of our operation, but ultimately the UN intervention did not bring peace to Somalia. Further, Australia's contribution wasn't without loss. Lance Corporal Shannon McAliney was accidentally shot and died while on patrol during Operation Solace. Others also bear physical and emotional scars from their service. I mention my personal experience only for context. While no two experiences are the same, I'm sure that others watching will reflect on their involvement in peacekeeping operations in a similar way. For 75 years, Australian service personnel have been at the forefront of global peacekeeping operations. Our men and women have served to keep the peace, preserve the rule of law, and help communities and locations across the globe. The conditions have often been dangerous, and the operations have come with significant cost, with many still impacted by their service. But we have made a difference. We responded when asked by our nation, and our service in multinational endeavours advanced our national interests. We have helped people and communities around the world. To all who have served on peacekeeping missions, you can be very proud of the contributions you have made. And to the families of our servicemen and women, thank you for your love and support. It makes a world of difference.